And we're live. Welcome back, Shifties. Welcome back to Shift the Journey. I'm your host, Tito Amogus. Today's guest is Ethan Lang. Woo! Ethan is a veteran of the United States Army. For some reason, when we met, I thought you had said that you're an Air Force veteran. And so when I read that, I was like, oh, he's probably going to be offended if I say Air Force veteran.
I would have definitely been offended. You're getting me and Tim Blaisdell mixed up. He's
Yeah,
Air Force vet when we met.
that's right. That's true. All right. So anyway, if it's your first time watching, Shift the Journey is it's my brainchild. It's one of the things I love to do. My passion is to bring people together when somebody is like maybe somebody wants to hire somebody and somebody else who wants to find a job. A lot of times, those people who are looking for jobs are people who came from a different industry and made their way into, like, let's say they're trying to get into data, or it's maybe somebody who is in the military and then they're like, hey, what's this civilian life like? I'm like, depends what you're asking about. There's a lot. It's quite nuanced, actually. So I like to bring people together and just, like, share information. And this is a platform that I get to do it. I get to bring people in who have all kinds of experience in all kinds of different things, and they can come and talk about their career journey. And that's what brings us here today. So happy Monday, everybody. I'm not sure, I say that a lot, but I'm not sure that anybody actually has a happy Monday, except for me. So, all right. So here we are with Ethan Lang. Ethan, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Florida, Central Florida, just south of Orlando, in a town called Winter Haven.
Oh,
Is where
I've
I'm
been
from.
there.
You've been to Winter Haven?
Oh, yeah. I have some really close family friends in Avon Park
Oh, yeah.
and Sebring. And we went to Avon. No, we went to Winter Haven because some other close family friends were having a some kind of gymnastics competition when I was in high school. And we
Yeah.
were in the area and we rolled down there. So I know
Right
what
on.
that is. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's did you come from a military family?
No, not at all. My dad is a blue collar worker. He worked for the city water department, and then my mom was a receptionist at a clinic.
Oh,
Yep.
so what was the thing that inspired you to say, "Hey, I want to go join the army"?
Yeah. So I guess back then, if we're going that far back, that's kind of where my journey began, and it's so weird, like how I landed where I'm at today, because the trajectory I was on, especially back that far back, was not where I am today.
Mhm.
But throughout high school, I was a terrible student, frankly. Barely got through high school. And I started looking around, what did I want to do? I decided, man, I want to be a police officer. That's what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I actually went to, at the time it was Polk State College, and they had a program, police academy and everything.
Mhm.
But the police academy had just started, and they were like, well, it's going to be like at least 9 to 12 months before we can like get you through. And I was like, man, I do not want to do that. So I went to the recruiter and I was like, I want to be a police officer. And they were like, we got you, here, sign this.
Oh man.
And yeah, I was signed up for the U.S. Army like 2 days later.
So what made you choose the army? Like, did you say, "Oh, Air Force, oh, they sleep in air conditioned tents. I don't want that. I want to go sleep in the dirt."
Yeah. No, frankly, it was all about I had a single focused mind. I wanted to be a cop.
Mhm.
I wanted to do the police and all that stuff. And the Army at the time was one of the only branches where they guaranteed like your job.
Mhm.
The Air Force, because I did kind of shop around the different.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying it was off the table completely, but I went there and they were like, well, the way this works is you'll test out the ASVAB kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And then you'll write down 5 jobs that you appeal to you the most,
Yeah.
and we'll place you wherever we need you. And I was like, if you can't guarantee what I want, then I'm out.
Hmm.
So, because I didn't want to become like a mechanic, I was like,
Yeah.
that's not for me. So the Army can guarantee it. So that's what I did.
Okay. And so, how long did you serve?
I was in for 3 years. 3 years starting in 2010.
Mhm.
So did 3 years and then one deployment to Iraq in 2011. Then came back to the States and I was stationed at Fort Leavenworth. So I actually
Okay.
did a ton of the correctional side of law enforcement,
Oh, okay.
which
Yeah,
was,
that's the military prison, right?
oh yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
was at
Ooh.
the USDB out here in Fort Leavenworth doing corrections there.
Hmm.
And it was, I'd say it was fun. Looking back, it was kind of interesting, but my gosh, it was so boring. 95% I was like counting like tiles on the roof. It was just
Oh
so
my
boring.
goodness.
So
So when you joined, did
mhm.
you have any designs to like, oh, I'm gonna do, one enlistment, then I'm gonna get out, or like I'm gonna go back to school, or what was that like?
I had no like plan going into this.
Okay.
I knew, like I told you, I had that single focused mind. I knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. And then that happened. Went through the into the Army. Really enjoyed it. I frankly did not care for corrections. Like that side of it was just so,
Mm,
like I said, it was monotonous, just so boring.
mhm.
Just day in, day out. But I had an open mind. I was actually looking at reenlisting, and then I met my girlfriend, now my wife, and we decided to not pursue that. So I got out.
Yeah. Did you have a plan as you were getting out? So many people that I talked to were like, actually, I planned to do this, but I ended up doing something else.
Yeah. Just like many people, I got out with this assumption of like, man, I was in the military. I've done all this stuff, like even like the 3 years, I'm like, I got leadership, I can, multitask, whatever. So I thought, like I'd be a shoe-in like anywhere. And I started applying for jobs. I had no desire to go back to school.
Hmm.
Like I mentioned, I was a terrible student in high school. So for me, I was like education, like academia, just not going to work.
Right.
I had kind of like a lot of self-doubt in myself, frankly. But started applying for places and I applied for like 100 different jobs
Well,
and finally got like an interview and it was at a geez, Home Depot.
okay.
It was at Home Depot and the job posting was for like 12.50 an hour, restocking shelves. So I went in for the interview and I remember, I got there, I was all dressed up. They shuffled me to the back room. I waited there for like 20 minutes by myself in like the break room. And then finally, like, the shift lead, she comes walking in and she just stood in the doorway. She didn't even like come and sit down or introduce herself or anything.
Oh,
She just like stood in the doorway and was like, look, things have changed. This is the job we have for you now. It's going to be 10 hours a week, $9 an hour. Do you want that? And I was like, I have bills to pay,
oh
like,
my gosh.
no. I was like, that's not going to work at all. And she was like, okay, well, that's all there is. And she walked out.
Oh,
And I was just left there in the break room, like, what is going on? And man, I was just like devastated because I had applied to all these places. This was like one of the only interviews I was able to get.
oh man.
And I was like, what am I going to do? So I went back to the drawing board. And that's when I, started looking into using the GI Bill and going back to school.
Okay.
So yeah, eventually did that. Like I mentioned, I had a lot of self doubt. I didn't know what to study either, but I had kind of surrounded myself with folks that cared about me and pushed me in that direction. And I gave it a shot. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where everything began, I would say.
So how did you choose your major?
I went into it just thinking something in technology, and I have a little bit of a creative side to me. So I thought, what about like computer engineering,
Mm,
like creating software or hardware or something like that.
yeah.
So started looking into that and that's where I started. I actually went in and started as a computer science major at the KU's engineering school.
Okay.
And, talk about a wake up call. Like I mentioned, I was not like up to the snuff with education wise. So going in there and taking my first calculus class, man, I was
Woo!
like, what is this?
Just
So
came
I'm
in off
like,
the street.
yeah,
I'm going to
I'm
take
like,
calculus. Ah,
no
yeah,
kidding. But there's one thing, man, I will not fail. Like I'll study my butt off, I'll work my butt off.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit around and just let it happen and fail. So I dug deep and really started to do good. In
Hmm.
school, got through a couple semesters of computer science, and then I took a statistics class,
Hmm.
and I fell in love with data right then,
Oh, that's
like in that
cool.
class. It was the first time I'd ever been like done anything in statistics, and the professor, he's notorious for it's like a weed out class, like weed out the weed kind of thing. But I went in there and literally the first project he gave us was he gave us a bunch of this data on like healthcare and stuff. And it was insurance data for like an actuary. And he's
Okay.
like, I want you to use all this data and predict like when each patient would die using
Oh,
this data. And I
wow.
was like, this is insane. Like I'm literally connecting to some data and like running it through a model in Excel and like very accurately predicting like people's deaths. Like
Wow.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I immediately started thinking to myself, like, man, if I could predict this stuff, like, what's the reverse side of that? Like,
Hmm.
can we use the same data and stuff to back into how to make people live longer? You
Yeah.
know? So I just started asking myself those questions and I got really obsessed with it. So by the end of that course, I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, look, I want to do that. Like I want to be a statistician or, whatever that is. And at the time he was like, this is back in 2014,
Hmm.
2015, something like that. But he was like, they just started this brand new course at the KU Business School. It's called Business Analytics. And they
Oh, okay.
basically do that. They predict stuff and they do it for businesses and all kinds of stuff like that. So I went and talked to the director of that new school going live,
Hmm.
and he was like, yeah, this is it, come here. So switched my major that semester and started in business analytics and I haven't looked back. I'm just
No, man. That's cool. Yeah, I heard your phone buzzing. I bet it's Abe.
probably
Yeah. It says,
see hitting us up on LinkedIn.
oh yeah, look at the chat. Abe, causing trouble, man. What are you doing out there?
Abe, you starting that YouTube channel, man. You gotta invest in this lighting.
Right. Oh, then we got another one. Yeah. Gafar says, amazing journey. Love your work in the data community. Thank you for inspiring so
Oh
many of
man,
us.
thank you. Oh, those are
That's
great.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, you found your way to business analytics, and then it was just like it was on from there.
Yeah.
So what was it like, graduating and then looking for your first job?
Tough. Like I mentioned, especially coming out of the military, I was a non-traditional student. So
Hmm.
there was a whole aspect of, well, we require this, we require that. And it's just like, well, I have a full-time job that I'm trying, working. I guess that's another part we kind of skipped there too. But
Hmm.
after I got enrolled at KU, I found a job at AT&T. So
Oh, okay.
I was working at AT&T as a sales rep there in in the local store there in Lawrence, Kansas, and at the same time going to school full time.
Oh, wow.
So I had my hands full, and like I mentioned, school was tough for me. So there's a lot of extra hours in there, grinding away, trying to study up for stuff. But really tough coming out of school trying to find a job because at the time I was making decent money at AT&T through commissions and stuff like that. Back then it was like 50 grand. And, when I came out, my only option, especially as like a non-traditional student, no experience under my belt other than this degree. Finding a job full time, tough.
Yeah.
So I made the decision and worked it out with my management at AT&T, where I could do part time at AT&T and take an internship. So they worked with me on that. I found an internship that I really, really enjoyed at a marketing agency.
Okay.
So went and started working there. And when I got there, I had all these ideas like Tableau and, predictive modeling, all this stuff. And got there and they were still working in Excel, copy and pasting data from like Google Analytics into like an Excel report, refresh the dashboard kind of thing. And, my manager at the time there, his direction for me was like, look, you can get certified in like Google Analytics, just watch these YouTube videos. By the end of your internship, take this test and, that's it. So I like did that in like a week. I was like, okay, I'm done with that. Got the certification. I'm not going to sit around and watch YouTube videos all day. It's just not my style. So I downloaded a free trial of Tableau and I converted one of the dashboards that they had.
Okay.
From Excel into Tableau.
Yeah.
You can literally just hit a button, refresh, whole thing goes. And I think that made a really good impression. So after the internship, got the full-time offer.
Nice.
It kind of became like the Tableau guy, people were coming to me for like Tableau advice. And, that put me in an awkward position because I'm like, I'm good at it, but I'm just learning it too. So I just stepped up my game and started diving deep into Tableau. And yeah, that worked out really well. Tableau is such an easy software to pick up. And that's kind of where I picked up my career, is from Tableau, and just went around with it, breaking it, trying to figure out new things to do with it. A lot of fun.
Yeah. My first day in my first civilian job was like, hey, here's Alteryx and Tableau. And I'm like, oh, cool. Never seen either one of these. They said, they didn't say here it is, because I didn't have a laptop yet. They said, you're going to have these. Oh, by the way, the vendor's here. Do you want to go to the class? And so I thought I was going to get fired on my first day, fall asleep in that class. I stood up in the back, stood up for like 7 hours. I'm like, I don't know the data. I don't even know what's going on. That was crazy.
Yeah. No, I've been there too, with different technologies, as I kind of progressed through my career. It's just, I think there's a lot of skills though you can pick up in one, that can apply all over the place.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. With the, the other veterans I've had on this show, I think the thing that we talk about a lot is that transition, how hard it is, like the expectations that we had coming out, because maybe, you went through the, what's the name of that class? Tap something. I took it twice because I thought I was getting out in 2014. I ended up getting out like a year and a half later. But I mean, I took that class and I'm like, yeah, I think I got it. Yeah, I got this. I did not, in fact, have it. I didn't have it at all. They're like, this is how you write a resume. It was not how you write a resume.
No. I was about to say, I got out of that class and without even I didn't even have a good resume.
And then they're like, this is how you negotiate your salary. It was, in fact, not how you negotiate your salary.
No. Yeah.
So it was a lot. It's funny because I think a lot of the people that I went to tap with, like both times, were people who were getting out to then go into civil service or defense contractors, or maybe they're just going back to school. They're like, oh, I just have to be here, check a box. There weren't a lot of people around me at that time who were going into the corporate world. Did you said you surrounded yourself with people who, who encouraged you and like helped to guide you? Were those people were they civilians or were they like veterans too?
It was a mix. I had a couple really good mentors when I was in the service, that I turned to and kind of leaned on a lot for their expertise and just general advice, like, man, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm thinking about moving here. Like, what do you think? And they're just like, XYZ, stick it out, do whatever. But really, it was my wife now who really pushed me into the education direction. She had just got out of her program and got a bachelor's degree at Kansas State University and had moved back here. She's from this area, Lansing, Leavenworth. So she had moved back here. At the time, one of my best friends was dating her friend. So that's how we were introduced.
Okay.
But she was like, you should really think about this. You're smart. You're not going to like let yourself fail. And really it's going to set you up, even if you don't like get a job in that like area, just having the paper, that's like clout, like you can go somewhere and it's like, yeah, I went here and got this,
Yeah.
And it kind of shows and proves to employers, like you're willing to dive in and go the extra mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bachelor's degrees are, I would say do it 100%. Use your
Yeah.
GI. That'd be my best advice.
Yeah, there's like two things that I'm getting out of that. One is like, I know this is not a relationship podcast per se, but but choosing a partner, my goodness, I can't tell you how many times that I was like down on myself. I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this, and my wife's like, you are capable of anything. You are
Yeah.
capable of anything, and so pretty much, set goals, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, and she's like, I believe it,
Yeah.
And the other thing is, wow, I don't even remember because that was like so that was like so much in the forefront there. But oh yeah, the other thing is like there's a lot of conversation. I see it all over LinkedIn about education, like a degree versus like boot camp and or like work experience.
Mm.
What I think for me, I mean, I'll ask you in a second, but like for me, I think that it depends on what you're pursuing, and it
Mm.
depends like what type of experience you've had, and what kind of like rigor you go through in your like boot camp. It's because I know people who have done all the different things. I
Yeah.
have also worked under like senior analyst, one who has a bachelor's in psychology, and we were
Mm.
working in insurance analytics. Another one has a master's in library science. Another one is like a mechanical engineer, and it's like, how important? Where would you? What's your take on like the degree versus like boot camp versus
Mm.
like working your way up through like analytics adjacent type
Yeah.
jobs?
Now that I've been in the industry, gosh, over 10 years, it's like, from what I've seen, a lot of folks just kind of fall into data analytics. They
Mhm.
were like, I was the accountant, and then someone was like, hey, have you heard of Tableau? Can you like look into that and like build like a accounting dashboard for the finance team? And I fell in love with data analytics, and I
Yeah.
started really getting into that. So I pivoted out of accounting into data.
Mhm.
I see that all the time. As far as like the importance and like how I would rank them, I would say getting a bachelor's degree, especially as a veteran, you have the GI Bill, like it's available to you. It is a benefit of your service. Utilize that to its
Mhm.
full maximum. Why not do 4-year program, and get your bachelor's degree? The boot camps, I think, if you've run dry on your um, if you've run dry on your GI Bill and you're looking to pivot your career, take a boot camp, at least get upskilled into, those skills, that skill
Mhm.
set that you'll need. But I don't think like those boot camps are going to set you apart from the competition, you know? So if you have a choice between a boot camp and the 4-year program, I personally would recommend taking the long route.
Mhm.
It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort. But ultimately, I think it pays off more in the long run.
Mhm.
And opens up a lot more avenues, especially those programs. If it's a yellow ribbon school, KU was, they have a slew of veteran like programs and like
Oh, yeah.
different resources there at the school, that can help you as a non-traditional student. They get it. Like it's different than like coming out of high school and going straight into college. Like it's different, you got bills, you got a mortgage, like,
Yeah.
like you're trying to juggle a job. Not to discredit anybody that's like going through that, transition or straight out of college, and it's all tough and it's all relative. But it is tough coming and, dropping everything you do and then trying to go to school like right out of the military. It's hard.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Like first day of work for me, after
mm,
20 years in the Air Force was like, oh, awesome. My peers are closer in age to my kids than they are to me, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, "Man, I feel young, or I did before I walked in the door here. It's like, oh my gosh, I
yeah,
gotta compete with these people. But it was interesting. It's a lot to learn. Definitely on the side of like what I was told to expect versus what I could expect was completely different in a lot of cases. So, your career journey. So it's interesting because, I talked to so many people on this. Right, we're on
mhm.
episode 44, season 2, right? And
Congrats.
everybody did things. Everybody has a different path. But I noticed like your path, you were like, went straight up.
Hmm.
Whereas like some people like me, I'm like, hey, I really like, I don't know, I like doing this stuff and I like being in there with the people. And so I'm like, not really. It's not really just flat like
No,
that.
no, no. I got you.
But like what was it that you saw that you're like, oh, I want to go into like director level, because I see
Mm,
you're a director now.
yes, yes. Um, I guess is the question, why did I move
Yeah,
this
like
direction?
yeah,
Like,
what was your thoughts behind that, other than like, yes,
mm,
I will take a promotion, I will take a bump in pay, yes,
yeah, no, no, no,
versus like,
no. I see. A part of my job is actually training and education. So I really, really enjoy that aspect of what I do as a consultant.
mhm,
At Playfair, we don't only do consulting, but we also do training. So I'll go on site. It's like a 2 to 4 day training session, and I've always really just enjoyed that a lot.
yeah,
Leading people, I think it's something that I've always enjoyed. I like. I think I'm good at it. You'll have to ask. You'll have to ask people that have been led by me, I suppose. But I really do enjoy that aspect of my job, coming in, giving direction, mentoring folks in areas they need mentorship, or I can provide mentorship. A lot of
mhm,
them, are better at what they do than I can be. And it's my job to just kind of enable them to do what they do best and kind
yeah,
of, get the stuff out of their way so they can focus on what they do. And I really like that.
yeah,
And I think I'm good at it.
mhm, yeah,
So yeah, becoming director level, that's kind of like that shift is when I started doing more training. Once I got into that kind of educational space and I really started to lean on that, that's when it's, pick up a couple, direct reports as a manager, then as a senior manager, spreading across a couple teams, and then as a director leading not only people, but managers of people.
yeah.
So that's a lot of fun.
No, nice. And we got a question here. This is Carolina. She's actually in Nashville Software School. So I'm
Yep.
connected to Nashville Software School. I did not go to Nashville Software School, or NSS, but um, I am so fortunate that I get invited to they have a roundtable discussion every quarter.
Very
And
cool.
I get to talk to people who are going through the analytics courses there,
Mm,
and just give them like they have a lot of questions about like interviewing and like day in the
Sure.
life and career paths. And so anyway, this is one question from one of the students at NSS. She's curious about any courses or certifications that you would suggest on getting into for her
Mm.
next.
Yeah, certifications and courses. I would say it really depends on where you want to go in your career. Within data analytics, it's not just you're an analyst. I think there's all kinds of different avenues within data analytics that you can go down. You could be a data visualization expert, with Tableau, Power BI, Oracle Analytics Cloud. Dive into those. You could do data engineering, Alteryx, Tableau Prep, Power Query, to name a few. You could do that. Data strategy, if you wanted to be more in the project management space, leading the team, leading discovery, go down that avenue. There's just all kinds of different, it's not just data analytics in my view. There's all these different channels that you could go through and really specialize within your career. So if you're looking for a course or certification, think about that first. What do you really enjoy of those aspects of data analytics? And then really dive into that and become an expert at that. Then from there, you can kind of branch out to the other disciplines.
Yeah.
That's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, I think that's a really good recommendation. I tell people all the time about like my chosen career path was like I really liked working with a certain technology, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off and see where
Yeah.
it takes me. And I met like a consultant at uh at a Tableau conference. It was TC18 in New Orleans,
Oh
and
yeah.
so
I was
I'm
there
oh
in New
yeah, I
Orleans.
saw you. I don't know, but
That
there
was an
was like
awesome.
thousands of us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I met a consultant there, and we had a conversation. It was kind of a on again off again conversation, and then we met up again. Like it was like 7 months later, I think. At
Hmm.
Inspire Ultrix Inspire in Nashville,
Yeah.
and so I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I want to go into consulting. And so when I actually met somebody there, the guy who ended up hiring me,
Hmm.
um, and they're like, "Hey, you need to get a certification, advanced certification in Alteryx before we even, before we can even have a conversation." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So, I mean, that's what led me to get that certification. And
Hmm.
then it was just like every other well, it's supposed to be every other year, but like every year I'm like renew, renew, renew,
Yeah.
renew,
Yeah.
just so I have that.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. So Carolina says, "Thank you so much. I love Power BI and Tableau so far, and the visualizations and storytelling with the data. Didn't realize I could aim strictly into that direction." Oh yeah,
For
definitely.
sure.
I know people who are like they do like robotic process automation with UiPath or Power Apps, whatever, and then they also do some back end stuff with like Alteryx, and
Hmm.
then they do like visualization stuff. But they're like, "Oh, I'm really good at RPA, or I'm really good at data viz." And I'm like, I
Yeah.
have done data viz. I will not say that I'm really good at it, but I've definitely done it.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
yeah,
say too, just for that question specifically, if you're interested in things like data visualization, the benefit to that is you can build a really robust portfolio with like Tableau Public. It's free, you know, and not only is it free, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the world's largest data warehouses because you can go to Tableau Public, search for anything you're interested in. Guarantee you someone's built a viz from it. And you can pull that data and rebuild, build your own portfolio off of data they've procured. So there's a ton of benefits to going the data visualization route, in my opinion. And that's kind of where I started my career. I leaned into Tableau very heavily, especially early on. And that's where I kind of made a name for myself, if you will. Then I started to branch out, to data engineering and, decision science and all that stuff. So all that, cool stuff will come, predictive modeling and all that fun stuff. Focus in on one thing first, though. Really master that skill. Build a portfolio for yourself, and then now you've gotten a job. You have the credentials to go there. And I would personally say I would build your portfolio before I would value that over a certification, frankly. Building a portfolio piece is not easy because not only do you have to do the data visualization, you have to gather the data, you got to find the data, you got to think through the design. What's it going to look like? It's hard to do on your own. So to me, that shows a lot of initiative versus certification. I feel like our generation is just, we've been trained on taking tests. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like grade school. It's like, that's all we think through is like, I need to study for this one thing, take the test, get whatever, move on. Portfolio, like building something on your own, you have to get out of that like test zone and into a creative space. That takes a lot of critical thinking. And yeah, as you can see, I would value the portfolio more than.
Yeah. It's funny because I often ask people, toward the end of our conversation, I haven't asked them, what they're passionate about, but I see it through this entire conversation. You're mentoring, you're teaching all along the way. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah. It's funny because I used to work on this one team where you had like data engineers and you had data viz specialists.
Mhm.
And every Friday we would have a showcase, for the client. We're like, hey, this is what I worked on this week. And I was always so jealous. I was like, God, you guys are showing these awesome things. I'm over
Yeah.
here going, oh, then I use this tool with
Yeah.
Python to do this
Got
and
this
that. And they're
macro,
people like, and I'm like, I built this batch macro. It's so awesome. They're like,
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
man,
okay.
I've been there. I get it. No, especially data viz stuff. It is the fun, flashy part of data analytics in a lot of ways, but
Definitely is. So all right, what's if there's a piece of advice that could give to somebody who's thinking about getting out of the military? I almost said the Air Force. I mean, I just can't take it out of me. If somebody is like thinking about getting out of the military right now,
yeah.
and they're like, oh man, this economy is terrible. Should I get out? Should I not? What do I focus on? What do I do? If there's like any one piece of advice, I know that's super broad, but if there's one piece of advice that you would give to them, what is it?
Don't doubt yourself and your potential. That's what I would say. I did that early on, and over and over and over again. I've proven myself wrong. So don't doubt yourself and what you're capable of. Set your goals high and shoot for that. What I've always found is when you set your goals high, even if you don't hit that, you're going to hit much higher than you would have if you set your goals low. So aim high, don't self-doubt.
Oh, hey, that's the Air Force motto, by the way.
Air Force, man.
So just so everybody knows, that thing that people used to write in yearbooks all the time. You just said it, and it's true. Like if you shoot for the moon. If you miss the moon, at least you'll be among the stars.
Yeah.
That was the yearbook thing. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to tell people is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and learn how to talk about what you did and how relevant it is to what you're trying to do. Oh man, listen, it's been a pleasure. It's been pretty awesome having you on the show, and you bringing all these people into the chat. That's awesome. It's been a while since like people are like,
I'm not even looking at the chat. I don't even know how to get there.
But
hopefully it's people saying good stuff. I like doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, you could, if you missed it, since you missed the chat, you could go back and watch it. Actually, if you just go to the post on LinkedIn, it'll be on there.
Right
but
on.
for like, if you want to go back another time and go, you know what did I look like on that? You can go to my YouTube channel. So Shift the Journey.
The lighting is good. So
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah. All right. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing words of wisdom for the folks who are watching and whoever's going to watch later. I appreciate everybody joining in and interacting. I love that when people interact. I need human interaction anyway because I work in an office all by myself. So, but I was trying to remember who's on next. I'm actually off. I'm taking a week off from this next week. I don't have anybody coming on the show the week after. I still have to confirm with the guest. So no tidbits of like, hey, who's coming on next? But once again, thanks everybody for joining. Don't go anywhere, Ethan, because I want to talk to you in the studio. But to everybody else, have a great week. Have a great couple of weeks. Peace.